Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the spring 2021 inductees of the Zeta Omicron Chapter Phi Theta Kappa.
If you would please bow your head as we go to the Lord in prayer. Lord, as we gather here this afternoon to celebrate the induction of these new members into the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, we thank you for generously granting us the gifts and talents which enable us to be successful students and honorable individuals. We give thanks for your guiding hand and teachings, and we seek to make you proud in our pursuit of scholarship, leadership, service, and character. Thank you. I would now like to welcome Dr. Fagan to the stage.
Please, everyone, sit down. Good evening. On behalf of our Navarro College Board of Trustees, our outstanding faculty and staff throughout our entire Navarro College district, and most importantly, our Navarro College alumni and students, we collectively welcome you here this evening. And most importantly, we can collectively congratulate you, the inductees. Tonight's opportunity for our students is one that usually occurs at the end of one's journey. Many induction ceremonies, as I indicated, occur after you've completed a series of milestones and goals. The PTK opportunity is a little different one in that it recognizes what you've done very early in your academic careers. And that's important for a number of reasons. If you continue to participate with PTK, the opportunities for your success increase dramatically. 91% of PTK inductees who continue on in some form and fashion with their PTK organizations complete an associate degree and or transfer to a four-year institution. Of that 91%, 68% go on to earn baccalaureate degrees. And of that 68% that earn baccalaureate degrees, the average median salary starting for those individuals is over $71,000 a year. So the incentive to remain active in PTK is there from a variety of perspectives. So as you go through the induction opportunity tonight, and you take the oath, keep in mind that you are just starting this academic journey. You are just beginning this opportunity. And to maximize the potential of what you have done already, it entails you to continue to be involved in PTK, involved in the scholarship opportunities, involved in the service opportunities, involved in the fellowship opportunities, and involved in the leadership opportunities. So again, on behalf of the entire Navarro College Bulldog family, we congratulate you on your success to date. We encourage you to continue with PTK, and we wish you a great deal of success in your future. Again, congratulations.
The history of PTK, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending the induction ceremony of Navarro College Zeta Omicron chapter of Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society. For 71 years of Phi Theta Kappa, PTK has been in continuous operation on the Corsicana campus. Tonight, we are all here to honor these students who have been selected apart from their fellows due to their high scholastic abilities and having demonstrated high standards of personal behavior and integrity that are uncommon. Please feel free to take photos of your family or friends as they are honored tonight. Phi Theta Kappa is an international honor society. The society functions as a federation of chapters located nearly all accredited two-year colleges. Students who meet the academic requirements are invited by letter to become lifetime members and to be involved in various activities of the organization. Phi Theta Kappa was founded in 1910 at Stephens College, Missouri, as an honor society. In 1929, Phi Theta Kappa was officially recognized by the American Association of Junior Colleges and became the official honor society of two-year institutions. It has been regarded as an honorable organization that promotes a service-oriented member in the community and at large. It is now considered to be the largest honor society in the world. The Navarro College, the Zeta Omicron, has been in continuous activity since it was awarded its charter in 1948. It has been involved in many charitable projects and activities within the community, and it has also worked along with other campus organizations for various events. Our chapter has also received many awards of recognitions from the college campus and various conventions. This honor society is traditional Greek society explaining the traditional candlelight ceremony and the Greek name. As such, it follows the tradition of Greek fraternities, sororities, and honors society in this approach. Before we begin this induction, I would like to introduce the students, officers of Phi Theta Kappa, and the faculty sponsors. Myself, Abdul Singate, the president of the Phi Theta Kappa, Brian Persons, the vice president of scholarship, Brian, Samantha White, the VP of scholarship, Crystal Harris, the VP of leadership, and Abigail Estrada, she is not present, the public relations. And our advisors, the PTK faculty advisors, Professor Brandon Ford, Professor Amy Young, she is right there behind, and Professor Hope Damon. And now I am going to turn the podium over Professor Brandon Ford, who will introduce tonight's speaker.
Good evening again. We're honored over the past few years to have some phenomenal speakers at Phi Theta Kappa induction ceremonies. Tonight is no different. Zeta Omicron is honored to welcome Mr. Jeff Turner, Director of the Baptist Student Ministries at Navarro College. Jeff Turner is the Director of the Baptist Student Ministry at Navarro College, and his home is in Brownwood, Texas. It is quite similar to that of Corsicana in almost every way. Jeff graduated as co-president of the National Honor Society at Brownwood High School in 2007. He attended Texas A&M University and received his Bachelor of Arts in Classical Languages. While serving in Africa, alongside other college students from around the states, Jeff met his wife, Bridget. Shortly after graduating and marrying, they moved to New Orleans, where Jeff received his Master's of Divinity from New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. Jeff and Bridget grew their family by two beautiful girls, Ella and Olivia, during their stay in New Orleans. Tonight, we are honored to have Mr. Turner join us in the celebration of your great accomplishments to Navarro College and your community. Thank you.
Thank you. I know something like 70% of communication is nonverbal. I promise I'm not glaring at you. I just recently went to the optometrist, and the glasses have not come in the mail yet. I'm not glaring, and I actually am smiling. So thank you guys for letting me be here. I really appreciate the opportunity. One of the great joys of what I get to do is I get to broaden the horizons of young people. And one of the ways that I've found to do that I think is effective, is through sticky phrases. Phrases that I repeat over and over again that I hope will stick, and one day down the road they might see the power that was there. So I'm gonna kind of unpack one of those today with you guys. Are you ready for it? It's really, really profound. Bear with me for this long sentence. Leaders lead. I know. Pause for effect. Eye contact. Repeat. Leaders lead. And I know that sounds really simple, right? But I think within that two-word sentence, there's actually three propositions in that definition of leadership. I think the first is that a leader influences. I know that's the lowest hanging fruit. It's the most obvious fact about leadership. A leader influences. Second, a leader takes along another with them. A leader cannot lead in isolation. They can't lead by his or herself. Finally, the third idea is that a leader has a destination in mind. A leader without a destination in mind is not leading, but just wandering. My question for you is, by this definition of leadership, are you a leader or a follower? In reality, by this definition, are you leading or following? So let's look a little closer at these three ideas inherent within this definition of leadership. The first is that a leader influences. This is the most basic of truths about leadership, but it's the foundation of leadership. It can be seen at all levels. Leaders will always exert influence. But this definition of leadership offers anyone the chance to lead. You don't have to have a place of authority or position to lead. In fact, some of the most famous leaders to ever have led the biggest movements did not lead from a place of conferred authority. These men and women led by influence, not position or office. Sorry, Dr. Fagan. Often, they were actually refused the office or authority of a position, and in ironic twist of fate, their leadership was much more effectual and significant than those that refused to acknowledge their leadership. So as long as you recognize that leadership is simply and first and foremost about influence, you don't need to be given a specific role to begin leading right now. Now, even though everything in our culture today is about the individual, you cannot lead in isolation. If you're only leading yourself, you're just living. It's not leading. I'm sorry to bust your bubble there. But this is the second implicit idea in our definition of leadership. Leaders take another along with them. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard this or not. Some of you probably have. Some of you may not have. But I want you to hear something from me tonight, and this is probably the most true thing I'll say. You are leading someone, whether you think you are or not. So who do you carry influence with? Brother, sister, roommate, sweet mate, group project members? Or do you just throw up your hands and do all the work for them just to make sure you get that grade? I understand. I mean, you guys are working for scholarships. It's natural. But you do have some influence in someone's life. It may be great influence or it may be little, but you do have influence. So how are you using that influence? Now, some of you are ahead of me, and you're thinking to yourself, but my influence is really sparse, really infrequent, and really ineffectual. So how can I grow it? Well, if you would seek influence, it's really simple. Pursue excellence. Pursue excellence. The way to gaining followers is not actually a more attractive or provocative Instagram or Snapchat. I know that's a popular notion these days. It's not true. In fact, an ancient poet once said, "Do you see a man skillful in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before obscure men." Excellence in every endeavor will lead to greater influence. Another way of communicating this idea is by the old proverb, "He who is faithful with little will be given much." If you are dissatisfied with your lack of influence, pursue excellence, and influence will find you. Right now, while in college, you have the opportunity to pursue excellence in scholarship. Your studies are absolutely crucial because we live in a world where all the information that the world possesses is at our fingertips, and yet few actually know what is right and true and good. And even then, those things are argued. So take advantage of your college years as an opportunity to learn how to think Learn how to interpret the information given to you, not simply memorize it. Information does not equate to wisdom. And C.S. Lewis, the famous author of the Chronicles of Narnia and many other books, and an Oxford professor, once wrote of an Irishman. He was Irish, so he could say this. He wrote of an Irishman that he found a certain kind of stove that reduced his heating bill in half. So naturally, he said, if I get 2 of those stoves of the same kind, I could warm my house with no fuel at all. Now, this man lacked wisdom. He had the right information and lacked wisdom. Knowing the facts alone is not enough to be wise. Instead, the wise mathematician can take the facts of the problem, formulate an equation, and solve it. Information alone cannot solve our problems. Wisdom is necessary. So pursue academic excellence now while you have the time and energy. George Washington, obviously, need no introduction for him, was not afforded the opportunity to go to college. And he wrote at the end of his life to a young relative, exhorting the importance of academic excellence, said, "Future years cannot compensate for lost days at this period of your life." And many of you, that's going to sink in a long time from now. But I'm telling it to you now, so you've been warned. So pursue excellence, and influence will find you. So 1, a leader influences. 2, a leader takes another along. And finally, a leader has a destination in mind. Leaders lead. Leaders don't wander. You have influence right now. Where are you leading people? What's the goal toward which you are working? Is the goal of your life good and noble? Is it worth following? Effective leaders have great conviction of the goal they are working to attain, conviction and certainty. But that cannot be the only elements present. Adam Grant, an organizational psychologist from Wharton, he defines arrogance as ignorance plus conviction. Ignorance plus conviction is arrogance. You may have conviction about the destination, but if your conviction is wrong or uninformed, it would be purely arrogance to pursue that goal. So the best leaders think and then rethink their assumptions and goals. This is not vacillating or wishy-washy, it's humble. A couple hundred years ago, there was a doctor who had an interesting patient in his office. This patient kept displaying all the symptoms of blindness: inability to navigate the furniture in a room without bumping into it, inability to identify the orange that the doctor was holding up right in front of her face. And Dr. Antone was his name. He had stumbled upon an occurrence that isn't as uncommon as you might think. She was blind to her blindness. This has since come to be known as Antone's effect, and this effect can be seen in a lot of leaders these days. That they aren't physically blind, but they are simply unaware of what they don't know. They are ignorant to their own blindness. And ignorance plus conviction is arrogance. Now, sometimes the objective is quite clear, and the information does not need rethinking. Other times, the information is updated quickly and often. Consider for a moment the multitude of decisions that leaders at various levels had to make during this pandemic. If a leader were to simply continue steadfast without rethinking decisions based upon updated information, that would have had disastrous consequences for those they lead. It would have been arrogant, which is why the excellent leader is a humble leader. This humility creates a vulnerability in his or her leadership. And without vulnerability, there can actually be no fortitude. Famous philosopher from Notre Dame said that, Joseph Piper. He said that without vulnerability, there can be no fortitude. If someone is impervious to a threat, then they can display no courage in standing against it. It is not brave for a lion to stand resolute before a gazelle. But when one is vulnerable and yet stands courageously, that is when fortitude is on display. Now, there will be a time as a leader when you might need to stand resolute and alone. When the group wants to turn back or change course, and you might be tempted to follow because it's easier. But I want to encourage you to remain unwavering. Because the humble leader who has considered deeply the assumptions and the worthiness of his goal is able to stand with courage and confidence and do what is right. Now, one more note about this third part of our definition of leadership. And this is a trap that many young leaders fall into. The goal that a leader is leading his followers toward is not that the task be accomplished his way or her way. The goal is to arrive at the desired destination. The point of leading is not to have control. It's to see that the group hits the target. You don't need authority to lead. You don't need control to lead. You can influence your team and exercise leadership now, no matter your position or role. So be sure of the common goal that you're working toward and influence another by enabling and empower them to pursue excellence in every endeavor. And there's one last element of leadership that just can't fit from our two-word definition of leadership. And that is that if you would like to lead well and expand your influence, it is incumbent upon you to work tirelessly. If you want those you are following to work hard, you must first work harder. If you would be worthy of leadership, you must first prove that you have done the necessary work of diligence in preparation. Your work will empower those you lead to succeed. You pave the way. You go before. You take the burden of the group's success on your shoulders and carry it to the finish line. Now, I don't know if you guys knew this. Gen Z is the most diverse generation in American history. So this generation, this group of honor students, represents a new generation of leadership. Your influence will either be great or little. You will either lead toward a good, noble goal, or you will lead off course. So I implore you right now, tonight, to take up the mantle of leadership with humility, diligence, endurance, and lead. A leader influences, a leader takes another along, a leader has a destination in mind. Leaders lead. Do you? Thank you, guys.
Each year, Zeta Omicron says thank you to our speaker in a special way. And this year, again, is no different. Jeff, we'd like to present you this from Zeta Omicron chapter and all of its students
Thank you
and
so
advisors.
much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that. Thank you.
Inductees, please stand. I am pleased to present these candidates of membership in our society. These students have fulfilled all the requirements for memberships and have been selected because they have chosen scholarship, leadership, service, and fellowships as their hallmarks. I recommend them for their acceptance into the Zeta Omicron chapter of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. Inductees, you may be seated. You are about to be inducted into a scholarly fellowship which embraces community colleges, not only for your own state, but of the nation and the world. This fellowship is Phi Theta Kappa, and your chapter is Zeta Omicron. After induction, you will find among the members an atmosphere of scholarship to which you must give of yourself in order that the organization may be meaningful to you. I will love to introduce Krista.
Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible. Audrey Hepburn. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Mahatma Gandhi. Observe the torch, symbolic of knowledge, which is the servant of wisdom, which dwells with prudence and leads in the way of righteousness in the midst of the paths of judgment.
Observe the white rose typifying purity and beauty of light, with its white buds signifying new intellectual association. Before you, the emblem of Phi Theta Kappa. It consists of a gold slab keyed at the top and bottom. The golden field, like the escutcheon of our coat of arms, refers to the golden opportunities that abound on every hand for society to fold, evidence their culture, and perform good works. Since gold is the most noble of metals, it shall have a further significance to our society, for it shall represent the nobility attained by those who achieve intellectual leadership. Across the slab, you will observe a black band. It represents the three ideals which band us together, and the cultural self-control which is the necessary foundation for true wisdom, aspiration, and purity. Shining through the black emblem background are three Greek letters, which are the initials of those three mystic Greek words, meaning wisdom, aspiration, and purity. Behind the band is a wreath. On the one side, it's composed of oak leaves, and on the other, laurel. The oak stands for stability and strength of character, as symbolized by the sturdy oak. The grace-curling leaves of the laurel signify achievement and success, all attributes for members in our society. Above the band is the representation of the head of Athena, a symbol of learning. In the base appears Greek letters meaning light, the light of knowledge and learning, the common ideal for members of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. I would now like to welcome Brian to the stage.
This badge stands as a symbol for the high idealism of our organization and membership in our select group. You have studied the constitution of our organization, the purpose of which is to foster a spirit of devotion to study and to scholarly ideals among its members, whose principles are embodied in the Greek letters which stand for phronemon, thumos, kathortes, wisdom, aspiration, and purity.
Inductees, please rise. As I call your name, please stand and sign our roster at the podium. You'll be signing a page that will go in a book that dates back to 1948, where the first members of your chapter signed their names. Catherine Atkinson. Riley Denler. Jackson Embers. Joining us remotely this evening, Francisco Jimenez. Pimberai Mafi. Titus Then will I. Lacey Severin. Dana Searles. Now that the standards and ideals of this organization have been fully revealed to you, you come to complete the pledge which admits you into complete fellowship. Abdul, please light the first candle. The passing of the flame one to another represents the passing of knowledge from one member of Phi Theta Kappa to another. Inductees into Phi Theta Kappa, please repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly promise on this 23rd day of March 2021 to uphold the standards of Phi Theta Kappa and to keep this object and aim in mind. And I do solemnly pledge allegiance to my fellow members and promise to aid them in all worthy endeavors. Ms. Shawn?
It is my pleasure to welcome you into the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society and the lively fellowship of scholars it affords. I salute you for your accomplishments. I charge you to explore always for truth and to dedicate yourselves to cultivation of the well-reasoned life, a prelude to service and honor. Please extinguish your candles. You can be seated.
So each year we get to induct our brand new officers, and this year is no different. So if I'd like my officers to come stand over here, please. Before you assume your obligation as officers of the chapter, you shall renew your pledge of membership to Phi Theta Kappa. Please repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly promise to uphold the standards of Phi Theta Kappa and to maintain, by honest and independent endeavor, the ideas of scholarship for which this organization stands. You are charged with the responsibility of learning the duties of your office and executing those duties to the best of your ability. Now please repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly promise to fulfill the best of my ability, my duties, as an officer of Zeta Omicron chapter of Phi Theta Kappa. You are duly recognized as executive officers of the Zeta Omicron chapter of Phi Theta Kappa. We pledge the support of the members of this chapter to you. Now, my newly installed officers, if you'll please sign the chapter book in the designated officer's place. A sheet of paper right behind. This concludes our ceremony for the evening. Inductees, families, and friends, please stay to celebrate these students. The members of Zeta Omicron have provided refreshments for your enjoyment. We have some cookies and mints as well as some water and lemonade at the back. If my inductees would please come forward to take a group photo, I appreciate that. And thank you for joining us this evening.